come on in. Let me know where you are watching from. Today, we're going to be talking about something that keeps coming up in my messages. I'm getting the question over and over again. I don't even know if it's really a question, but it's more like a mindset that I'm noticing that a lot of people have. Um, I know I've talked about seasonality, and I've talked about how, we need to be ahead of the curve, ahead of the season. Actually, I went live and just talked about that a little while ago. But you have to excuse my voice. I know I sound even more like a man than I normally do because I'm getting over whatever this summer thing is that's going on. Um, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. Okay. So I know somebody out there is going to like it. But anyway, so here's the reality, right? Like, you need to know that yes, parents are getting ready for back to school. Some are already sending their kids back to school. But for you to say that, you're not making sales, or you just throw in the towel and it's only the 8th day of August, I'm getting lipstick on my lips, to say, that on the 8th day of August already, that's just it. You really, kind of wrote August off already because kids are going back to school. That's the number one reason why people need to be creating a second stream of income, right? You need a second stream of income alone just to pay for back to school supplies. Like, the back to school supplies list are insane, right? Not to mention the clothes and the shoes, and some kids are more bougie than others with the things that they want. I myself, like, Lisa Frank was a big deal back when I was in middle school, but I had babysat and I had my own money to be able to go to the store and buy my own Lisa Frank school supplies. And that, in fact, I always share the fact that I bought my own school supplies beginning freshman year in high school. And I never asked my parents to supply what I needed for school after freshman year in high school. So, that's that. But I was even buying some of my own supplies prior to that with little money, gifts, and what I was making by doing things like babysitting when I actually did get paid. So I have cousins that are younger than me. I always tease them, like, your parents still owe me for babysitting you, which is true. But yeah. So, you can't just assume that just because parents are going to be getting their kids back to school and focused on back to school, that they're not going to want to spend money with you. Because the reality is people are going to make time and make the money, create the money for whatever it is that they truly want. So what you really want to be focused on instead is your offer, also your ideal client, who it is that you actually serve, and the value that you're presenting. Right? That's really what it boils down to. The things that are going to make people buy are you going to save them time? Are you going to make them some money? Are you going to help them find a relationship? Right? Those are the things that people care about most. So how is your messaging? Is your messaging aligned with the 4 or 5 reasons that people ultimately buy, right? Like, we know the top categories are like weight loss, relationships, finance, right? I'm just messaging my nephew here. He's coming to get something to eat. Okay. So you have to adjust your messaging based on the seasonality, right? If your ideal client is moms, you don't just act like and ignore that they are getting kids ready for back to school. Okay. So you can address that in your marketing, right? Like, do you need more money to, as a single mom, to afford back to school supplies? Right? Because there are 5 core reasons why people ultimately buy, and you got to hit on those in your messaging. They want to make money, save time, and they're either running from something like effort or pain, or they're running to something else. And that's why I always talk about, you sell the vehicle, you sell the destination, not the vehicle, right? You sell the destination, not the vehicle. And so when it comes to your ideal client, and we're talking about the month of August, for example, and if your offer is a digital product and something with like MRR, like DBA, which is Digital Boss Academy, or BPU, which is Business Pro University, maybe you adjust your ideal client just a little bit. Okay, that's another option. You can adjust your ideal client just a little bit. So if you're focused on moms, maybe not moms with school age kids, or maybe not moms. Maybe, there's a huge amount of effort and focus on and trending content out there about those who choose to not have children and are living their best lives. Maybe those are the people that you should target with a campaign for August. And maybe it shouldn't necessarily be about making money. Maybe it's more so about the lifestyle, right? Maybe it's about buying back their time, right? Maybe it's that they don't want to update their resume and, work for another boss or another company. But you need to focus on your messaging. But to just say that, oh, people are paying for back to school. And I know what it is. I know what it's like because I've led people for many years, right? It's likely that you talked to one or two people and you heard it. And now those one or two people suddenly have turned into everybody, right? I talk to everybody. Well, who's everybody? How many people is everybody? Everybody is less than a handful of people. Everybody is less than a handful of people. That's weird. That's strange. That's not normal. And this is what I say about people often will, begin with an opportunity, no matter the opportunity, with their list of 5 to 7 just people they know they're really attached to joining them and doing what it is that they do. And I know because I was once that person. And when those people say no, oh my God, the world comes crashing down. The world just comes crashing down when those people say no. And the key is to not be attached to the outcome, right? You go to those people and you talk to those people to get them out of the way. To say, hey, I presented it to you, because you present it to them, let them say no, and then you just keep doing what you do. And as they see you're winning, they see the success stories and the testimonials, then a seed is being planted every time they see that. And you would be amazed at how many eventually come around. You just don't know when they're going to come around. And that's why it's important for you to keep going and not let your reason why be the excuse, right? When I say the reason why be the excuse, I mean, for example, the single mom who's raising kids on her own and has to buy school supplies on her own. Her reason why to do it is because she has to buy school supplies and provide, a certain level of lifestyle for her kids and herself on her own, and it's all her. So I can tell you, as someone who's been in that position, it's definitely about buying back my time and creating more money without having to exert and spend more time. I'm locked in. I can't really get a second job. Where is the time going to come from to work a second job? I need a second income. I don't need a second job, right? So you have to really know who it is that you serve and how you serve them. So again, it doesn't mean you have to go through every single module in DBA, but you need to understand it to be able to communicate the benefits and advantages of it to your ideal client in ways that's going to make them want to take action. Okay? Because if I'm a single mom, which I was, my kids are now adults, but we're talking, my youngest is 27. So we're talking just a little over 10 years ago. it was important to me to get more money without having to spend more time away from my children in my home. My primary job, my main job, made sure that there was not enough left of me for a second job. They made sure of that. That was intentional. There was not enough left. There was not enough time, not enough energy, not enough brain power, not enough desire to work a second, or like some of y'all, a third job, right? I didn't want to work and have even less time with my children, my friends, and my life, right? I didn't want that. So coming up with a message to me about being able to buy back my time, being able to make more money in just a few hours a day, even though a good chunk of my day would be gone, the good thing was after 6 o'clock, there was no being at work for me because of the type of work that I did. So I could find 2 or 3 hours a day in the evening. I could find 2 to 3 hours to have the TV on in the background and be creating content or doing whatever it is that we do now to generate income online, right? So you have to refine your messaging. And it goes back to the question of, do I have one ideal client? Here's the thing, you're going to have more than one ideal client. But in the beginning, it's super important that you only focus on one. You focus on one and you get really good at your messaging and understanding what makes that one take action, what emotions, what pain points do you need to touch on in order for them to convert and become a customer. Okay. What pain points do you need to hit on? What emotions do you need to make them feel with your content? What questions and concerns do you need to address with your content? And once you get really good at that for one ideal client, then you can move on to the next and you can do the same thing with another one, right? But in the beginning, that is just too much for most people who've never done it to be trying to talk to everybody. There's a saying, and I've been saying this for 10 years, and even people new to the scene who get it will say the same thing. We're all coming to the same conclusion, and that is this: when you're talking to everybody with your marketing, you're actually talking to no one. You're talking to no one. People need to feel seen, they need to feel heard, right? They need to feel acknowledged. I often say it's very much like you're in church and pastor says something and you're wondering if your grandma or your mama been telling all your business again, right? And that's what it should feel like when you're marketing to them. I remember a post I did, it had to be like 2014, and I was talking about let me see if I can find the post. I know one of the things that came up in that post was talking about student loans and your job income not covering. You got an education, but the pay you're working for doesn't even cover your student loan payment. Let me see if I can find that post. And the comments that I received on that post, like, it was a breakthrough in my business, right? Because I was speaking directly to my ideal client. And what's crazy is my ideal client being women, men also were responding, because that's the number one thing y'all get concerned about, that no one's going to talk, like if you're only talking to your ideal client, you have a scarcity mindset, so you're so concerned about everyone else and you think that they just won't respond and that they won't be interested, and it's just not true. It's just not true. But your content needs to basically be like you're talking to one person. So I'm going to share this on the screen. Here, let me turn this around. Okay. So it says, some people think this thing I do is a shortcut. I say you think so because it looks so effortless. And the most amazing thing is I'm having lots of fun. Call it whatever you want. I know it is a better way. Check this out. Hear me out for a second. I remember working hard all year for a bonus that was more than my annual pay. That bonus rode on so many other things beyond my control. Talk about risky. If I'm a people developer, so my team was always getting pulled up. Although I was proud and happy for them each time one was promoted, that meant starting over and more work for me. I had done it. I pulled my team through the worst of times. I talked about that earlier, 2008 and 2009, right? When the mortgage crisis happened and a big name on Wall Street went under. I lost half of my bonus and there was nothing I could do about it, despite the fact that my team, which had been strapped for resources for months, beat out teams with all the resources. Basically, they were handicapped, and we know why. None of that mattered. The fact remained the same. I lost half. I couldn't get back the hours lost from my family and friends. I couldn't get the energy back and the effort that I put into it. Nope, it was all gone. But you go to school, you get a job, and you play it safe, right? Wrong. Time is the only thing you can never get back once it's gone. So they call it a shortcut. I call it a comeback. Get yours. Rappers and athletes are some of the highest paid individuals, and yet they also know this is simply a better way. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and looking for a better way, inbox me. It's not all or nothing, but you don't know that until you get the facts. Contact me now to get the facts. But there was another one I know that I did that also talked about the student loans too, but this was September 21st, 2014. Okay. And I swear they eat up some of your contents. Love this. So poignant, yet so profound. True words. This is great. Beautiful and so true, right? Your ideal client needs to feel like you've been spying on them. They need to feel like you know them. They need to feel seen. They need to feel heard. Just a second, y'all. Just look in the refrigerator. Wash your hands. Yeah. Okay. And it's stuff in that cabinet and that cabinet. It's actually a macaroni and cheese up above the microwave. So your ideal client needs to feel seen and heard. Okay. Without that, that is how you build connection. We always talk to you about creating engagement. Engagement is the gateway. But beyond that, what really builds community is that connection. People need to feel seen and heard. There's some paper towel over there. People need to feel seen and heard in order to really feel that deep connection where they feel they are rooted and a part of a community. So in that post, there are several things that I say that make people feel like they are part of this community, right? Like that they're seen and they're heard, right? Walking through how I put so much into work and got shysted, right? Talking about how I was basically overworking and being underpaid. And the heroics of pulling my team through one of the worst times and how we didn't have the resources. People could relate to that, right? There's a lot in here that people could relate to. It's crazy because there's a comment that's not showing, but I know that comment was there and someone was like, oh my God, you're good, right? So you have to really understand who it is that you serve so that you can speak to them in a way where not only they feel seen, but they feel ready and willing to take action. Okay. And that's one of the things I love about DBA, for example. They actually give you captions that convert inside of DBA, right? There's an entire content vault. There's a whole module of content inspiration where you can see content from people who are doing it and doing it right. Okay. So this idea that just because parents are focused on buying things for back to school for their children does not mean that they're not still buying other things, that they don't have the money. It may mean that money is tighter. It likely means that they just need to create more money. Okay. This idea that you can save your way out of this, I stopped buying into that over 10 years ago, right? If you don't believe me, go buy and read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki. He talks about that. You create the income for whatever it is that you want, right? And in the book, I think it was Cash Flow Quadrant, might have been Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he talked about his wife wanting a BMW. He's like, that's great. So they go and they buy a distressed property with a tax lien on it and generate income from it. And that's her monthly payment for her BMW every month. If you want a course, if you want coaching, you should be able to create a digital product, buy a done for you digital product and market the hell out of it to create the income to buy what it is that you want. And the best place to learn how to do that is Digital Boss Academy, DBA. And if you join DBA while I'm live, it's only $222 for volume 2 compared to $333. Okay. Volume 1 is included with volume 2. You're going to save time. You're going to save headache. DBA is a proven viral product. Instead of you trying to figure out a product, create it, and sell it. DBA is a proven product. It is a viral product. It is a product in demand because remember, in order to make money online, you need two things. You need an in-demand, high converting product, and DBA is that girl. And you need traffic. So how I generate traffic is through my content, especially live content. But even my evergreen content, my short form content is collecting leads for me for DBA, right? It's also growing my social media platforms. Okay. By showing up and giving value like I am with this video right here, people become interested. I booked two one-on-one coaching clients from my video earlier. It's $500 to pick my brain for 90 minutes. Okay. And by going live and demonstrating my knowledge, experience, and wisdom and helping people with Q&A, answering their questions, I'm able to effortlessly make the sale. Okay. That's what I'm talking about in the post. I know I make it look easy. Y'all think it's easy. Y'all think you can just buy something and all of a sudden you turn into Tamira. No, this is over 32 years of experience. And the shortcut for you is DBA, which by the way, comes with a Telegram chat mentorship from me. Okay. I don't know what else to tell you. But there's no reason to be running around saying, oh, it's August. So yeah, I'm just going to wait until next month because, you know, mom's got to worry about back to school right now. They don't have time. Listen, if the why is big enough, they're going to figure it out. They're going to make it happen. When the why is big enough, there's no excuse. There is nothing that will stop a mom who has to do for her babies. Believe that, right? Believe that. The same mom that can get online and show dinners that she's making and selling to be able to get what she needs for her kids for back to school, that same mom can get online and sell DBA and digital products and get what she needs for her kids for back to school. Okay. You see those Starburst things?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was chips up there too.
I was good.
Okay.
I was just like eating real fast the other day.
Yeah. I think it might be one in the refrigerator. Put that in the refrigerator and get one out the refrigerator. Because I bet it's nasty cold. Okay. We've got to stop making excuses. People are spending money. They're spending money on what they find value in. What is the value? If people are not buying from you, what value are you giving them is your first point of breakdown. Really, it's your second, because your first is who do you serve and how is the value that you put out into the world tied directly to saving them time, saving them money, making them time, giving them their time back, as well as their finances or their what they're running from or running to. How are you saving them effort? How are you saving them time? Right? How are you helping them to avoid pain? Right? There are 5 reasons people typically make a purchase. It's going to make them money, it's going to save them money, it's going to save them time, they're going to avoid effort, or they're going to avoid pain. It's one of those 5. You have to figure out how to provide value and frame it in such a way with your call to action that's going to make them money, save time, avoid effort, right? Avoid pain. Like I said, as a single mom who wasn't a 6-figure earner, but when you're a single mom, 6 figures doesn't end up being a whole lot, right? And when you're a single mom, whether you have boys or girls, I had 2 girls, you're not really interested in working another job instead of finding a way to create more money without spending even more time away from your children. Kayla Wayla says, right? Because, your kids can become a statistic even if you provide them with all the bells and whistles, if they got too much free time, too much unsupervised time. If you can't get them involved in extracurricular activities, if you are an absentee provider, right? There's a lot of that, more of that has happened in the community than more people want to talk about. Exactly. They need us to be present and thrive. Exactly, Kayla. That is why the core driving force behind my business now, thank you for sharing, is helping 1,000 families to make their first or their next $1,000 online, because my children were privileged in that when they're, especially their younger formative years, they were able to get off of the school bus in front of my grandparents' home and be with my grandparents until I got home. So not only were they in supervised care, they were in the best care next to being in my care. And that was with my grandparents, right? That's why it's important to me to be that for my grandchildren, right? It's the grandmother effect. I've gone live and I've talked about the grandmother effect. I've posted content about the grandmother effect. Passive income definitely changes the game for us moms. It totally does, and for our children. And it's not all about financial gain. It's not all about material things, right? It might initially start out like that, but your kids need you at home. I love the fact that my granddaughter, who just turned 4 in May, she has never seen her mom work outside of the home. And yes, her mom still works a traditional job, but she's been able to find jobs where she's been able to work from home. She was born during the shutdown. I was so heartbroken I didn't get to be there. at her birth. In fact, my grandson's birth is in my phone, and they love to watch it. And she's always asking for pictures or video when she was born. And I'm explaining to her, Nana didn't get to be at the hospital because it was either me or your dad. And I didn't want to do that to your dad. And we were lucky that your dad got to be there. But he sent me pictures as soon as you were born. Here's the pictures, right? So we have to explain that to her. It's not that I love her brother more. It's just the unfortunate situation that was happening in the world when she was born, but she was a blessing to come out of all of that, right? But she's never seen her mom work a traditional job. There was even a time when my mom was still working before retirement, and she was doing that from home in an office in her home. Neither of my grandchildren have seen or remember me working a traditional job. So the way that these children, right? Because if we're trying to break generational curses, the way that they look at the ability to make an income and be able to provide for your family and understand that you don't have to go work and punch a clock to be able to do that. I love it too, Kayla. I love it so much. I love it so much. Now the challenge is like last week when it was just me and baby girl, because her mom was in Turks and Caicos and brother was with his dad. She's a pandemic baby, so she's very attached, right? So she was very attached to me, and my babies are used to having my full attention when they're with me, right? They're used to having me fully present. So, I could truly only work when she was taking a nap or when she was asleep. Okay. All right. See you later. Okay. I'll probably be leaving here soon myself. Okay. You're welcome. So, you have to be able to communicate that type of experience and that type of benefit, that type of advantage to drive people to action and to get them to understand. And that's why it's really important to be very clear on not only who you serve, but why you're serving them. You heard me articulate it very clearly just now. My why I want to help 100 families make their first or next $1,000 online is because I firmly believe that more mothers, more grandmothers, more aunties need to be at home so these kids are not getting institutionalized going to daycare and learning bad things from other people's bad kids and their bad parenting, because the kids aren't really bad. It's usually bad parenting. And sometimes it's just not even bad parenting. It's bad economics, right? I don't think I'm better than anyone, but I also don't think anyone is better than me. And I see the difference in my children from them, and trust me, that whole intergenerational stuff is a blessing, but let me tell you, it's also a curse. There's been a lot of healing that's happened in the last 10 years. Let me just say, right? Because establishing those boundaries, yes, says Kayla, establishing those boundaries is vitally important. You got to have those boundaries. And in some cases, we don't even know that we need those boundaries or how to set them and how to set them properly because we just haven't had the examples. The great thing now is there's so much free information online. Okay. There's so much free information and resources online where we can learn how to set those boundaries, right? Because, I can be like a bull in a china shop, and I very much was like, these are my kids. That's what I say, right? And whereas now I would say it a little differently, like, listen, I always take your feedback under consideration. However, at the end of the day, they are my children, and I ultimately get to decide. And I completely 100% am grateful and appreciate any and everything you've done. In parentheses, please know that I've always financially provided for my own children. Anything anybody did for my children as far as clothes, gifts, and that, they were truly that, just gifts, right? But I do understand the sacrifices that were made, in terms of time and care and love. And I'm very grateful for that, right? And so that's how I would say it. And I'm very grateful for that. But if it's a burden, or if we're not understanding where the line is drawn, I understand if that this may no longer work for you, and I just give me some time and let me find other options, right? Because I do take your feedback seriously. I do take your feedback under consideration. However, as a parent, I do also have certain rights with what I decide is right for my family and my household and my children, just like you did. And you wanted yours to be respected. I also want mine to be respected as well. Okay. But I didn't have the tools and equipment to be able to have that kind of conversation back then. So trust me, that whole intergenerational thing, it was some work, a lot of work, a lot of work. It was definitely a blessing, but it also came with some curses. And I truly believe that everything God has taken me through in the last 10 years, it was so that I can change that and that dynamic flow a lot more smoothly with my daughter and my grandchildren. However, there are still hiccups. There are still times when it's like, okay, I'm trying to gentle parent you. I'm gentle parenting myself. I'm gentle grandparenting. But sometimes we just got to say, like, I'm not going to be disrespected either. I'm your mama and I love you and I'm here to support you, but ain't nobody going to make no fool out of me either. Right? So again, preach, right? So again, boundaries. Now the boundaries are just down the line instead of up the line. Y'all have to excuse me. I'm getting over this. When I get a cold, that upper respiratory is so bad for me. But I'd much rather be in this situation where my 4-year-old granddaughter looks to me to be a part of her learning to read. And there was an endearing video that I was able to post on Facebook in the last week of me reading to her, and my 10-year-old grandson is the one who actually filmed it, right? So it's being able to have those moments instead of a few times a year they're able to come spend the weekend with grandma, and Nana is so tired and exhausted. It's almost like they're a pain in the butt when they're really not, but you're just so tired and on edge from working and being treated poorly at work. Preach, says Kayla Wayla, right? So DBA is a great tool, resource, and library for you to be able to pull from and learn things like how to build a bomb brand, right? And I want you to know that the ladies who pulled all this together and created it, they are working moms, right? Jakayla was on live earlier and she was saying that she didn't build her digital products business with her, son being a little baby. He was a little baby when she was building her clientele, right? And her clientele is why she started selling and offering digital products, because working with clients, again, it can be a blessing and a curse. Yeah, you can charge a client $10,000, $15,000 for a branding package. And I've done it. But man, it's a blessing and a curse. They talk back. They send revisions. They want to reach out to you on vacation. They pay you $4,000 on Wednesday, and on Friday they expect the work to be done. And you told them, hey, I'm going to Disney World. I'll definitely be working on this, but I will be on vacation. I will be at Disney World, right? Some of them can be the worst bosses, quote unquote, right? So you got to know who it is that you serve, how you serve them, and why you serve them. These are things you need to include in your messaging. Okay. You got to be able to include that in your messaging. But just simply saying, oh, it's August, so people are not spending money because of back to school, I beg to differ. People are always spending money. People, when they want it, here's the bottom line. You're not seducing them. You are not making them want it. Because when they want it, they figure it out and they make it happen. Right? So your messaging, your offer, like my offer is DBA Volume 2 is only $222 while I'm live. Otherwise, it's $333. Okay. It's $333. The price goes back up. I take the price back up while I'm live to $333. So if you want it for $222, you want to join while I'm live and get it for $222, right? If you join while I'm live, you get that membership, that mentorship chat, that Telegram chat with me where you can ask me questions and I can help you. And who knows, maybe we'll do Zooms bi-weekly or monthly or something, right? So what are you doing to create that desire for them to click buy now, to smack that buy now button now? What are you doing? And keep in mind, if this is the first time someone comes in contact with you, the chance of them buying right then and there is actually pretty slim, right? It's actually pretty slim. That's why if you go to the link up here, you can click and you can go to the DBA sneak peek to get that sneak peek and learn more about it. And then I get your email and you go through a series of emails to give you more education and testimonials and wins and content about DBA so that you are comfortable. Because I'm not in the business of convincing anybody. Because if I got to convince you to join, I got to convince you to stay. And that's just too much work for me. I don't get down like that. Okay? I don't get down like that. So keep that at the forefront. Who is it that you serve? If you need help with outlining who it is that you serve, you can always reach out to me and you can book a one-on-one strategy session. Okay? You can book a one-on-one strategy session. There's actually training included in my Pin Profits Mastery course. That one of the bonuses is a course that I created on, discovering your ideal client avatar. You can get access to that if you join Pin Profits Mastery, right? DBA, if you join DBA while I'm live, it is $222. You can actually join DBA for as low as $55.55 while I'm live, because you can break that $222 into four payments. And you got to be very careful because I do not want to get embarrassed and almost die on live by accidentally swallowing a cough drop while I'm talking. Normally, I would not talk while I have a cough drop in my mouth. However, I am live and we're having a good talk. But I'm also feeling really dry and itchy in the throat. So bear with me here. Bear with me. Okay. Bear with me. Okay. So we're talking about your ideal client, and sometimes you might need to make slight tweaks. But here's the bottom line. Some people call it your niche, right? Like CEO Matt, I'm not going to go through his framework. If you want his framework, I do offer BPU, which is Business Pro University, where he goes in on his framework for defining your ideal client, right? Like the whole adjective, noun, verb thing, right? My training actually goes a lot more in depth than that, and it's not to discount his, because his training is awesome. I love his coaching and teaching style. It's very similar to mine, including the build a note. I didn't call it that, but I've been writing the note as I'm training for years. A lot of my paid courses and training, it's literally exactly the same way that he does that. We also have very similar corporate experience and background. So I got mad respect for him, right? And that's why I secured Business Pro University and added it to my offering, because it's a great course. It's an actual course. Okay. It's an actual course, includes several modules so that you learn how to sell digital products, right? There's email marketing, searchability, what we were talking about earlier. That video is on YouTube. You can go and find it and watch it on YouTube. Searchability is huge, right?